Hello, my name is Tommy. Welcome to my channel. We're going to be talking about how college, even if you have a master's degree, doctorate degree, whatever you went to college for, can be useless nowadays. And all it's doing is giving you a handicap of five figures of debt. Let's get into it. It's not a guarantee of a job at all. And if anything, it's only hurting people now. So, welcome to my channel. We're going to be getting into it today.
Explain this to a lot of people, but an MD degree is useless without a residency spot. So people think that once you go to medical school and get your MD degree, you're officially a doctor and can be a doctor, but you have to go to residency training. And residency training
That's right.
is
I know
where
some
you get
doctors.
trained in a specialty of your choice. And sometimes it's not really your choice. So if you are applying to a competitive specialty and maybe don't get the good board scores or extracurriculars or research or things like that, you may not match into that specialty. And if you don't match into your specialty, then you're essentially unemployed and you only have a few choices. So you can either reapply the next year and take a year of unemployment doing other types of work, or you can look at a non-clinical jobs. I know some people who don't go to residency do consulting, work in pharmaceuticals, things like that are non-clinical, but you cannot work as a doctor with an MD degree, which I think is shocking to a lot of people. So essentially, even if you get an MD degree, you are not classified as a doctor and you cannot work in clinical settings unless you go to residency. And some unfortunate people never match and never work as a doctor because of this.
I'm literally
Yep.
holding resumes, a
They,
stack
they,
of
they
them, so that
essentially
I
they they essentially don't have the option of working in what they want, even when they try to get a doctorate degree. Yeah,
can go in person to places and say, "Are you guys hiring?" It's honestly a little bit embarrassing because I'm literally applying for like minimum wage jobs.
yep.
This is not what I expected. I graduated college with 2 degrees in communications and acting. I speak 3 languages. Oh, this sucks. Like,
Yeah.
I, I just want to be a TikToker if I'm being so for real with you.
If you think you're
I'll speak on this right now. Yeah, I'll speak on this. So, this lady went to school for communications. She speaks three languages. I speak a couple as well. And como estás? Добрый день, which means hello in Russian. Anyways, she's finding out that you can't even just put in an online application for a minimum wage job. That's how brutal it is in the job market right now, and it's only going to get worse. And when you do stuff like, I'll just speak on the human side of things. When you do something where everyone tells you you're going to get a guaranteed level of success, your parents, your grandparents, your counselors, your schools, everybody tells you you're going to school for communications, nursing, engineering, whatever, psychology, anthropology, whatever it is, and then you don't find that success in finding employment, your mind basically told you you're not good enough. Apparently, everyone else says if you do it, you're good enough. But apparently, it doesn't match the two. And when you don't get exactly what everyone else says is a metric of success, which is a job, your mind internally tells you you're not good enough. And that is horrible for people's self esteem. I know so many people that went to college, they don't get the job in their field, or they don't go to college at all. And they are still stuck on that approval by everybody else that they're not smart enough, apparently. That's what they think. And they are hurting themselves mentally, internally, emotionally, just creating fractures in their own psyche where they're just telling themselves they're not good enough, and that just destroys their confidence. And you saw her, she was crying. That's going to be the life of a lot of people in the quiet moments where they're not having themselves filmed, where she's going into places to hand in a resume. There's going to be a lot of quiet moments in people's cars when they get home where they tell themselves that they're not good enough, and they break down. That's what happens when you lie to people and tell them that they're going to succeed on outdated information, saying that college is great. It is not great. As you can see, the sky is going to get
degree
into it.
alone is going to get you a job, you're fried in this job market.
Yep.
Unless you went to a top 20 school and did extremely well, then maybe you can submit an application and expect an email back. But even then, some kid who went to some no-name school, but his dad is a client at JP Morgan,
Yeah.
is going to get 10 emails back from recruiters before your resume even gets past the automated system. I know.
Yeah, that's true. So people with connections, real connections, get a job. That's obvious. People that go to college for networking they get outcompeted by that. I can speak on this. So I in Houston, in Texas, I did work in finance, and I was doing better than other people with financial degrees in Houston. I have a story on this. A guy I knew at the mall who was just working in a sunglass hut or the store, a sunglass place in the mall, and he had a financial degree. And the issue with him was he would apply online, but no one would return his emails essentially. And I gave him a strategy that I use, which was I called customer service, and over 20 times customer service said I don't handle that, or when I would get passed through to HR, which I told them to pass me through HR, they did. HR said that job listing is old and we are not hiring anymore. So it took me 20 times before I was able to get HR that said we are hiring. They patched me through a hiring manager. That hiring manager said we're actually firing people at this branch, but I can put you in touch with a different hiring manager that is hiring at their branch. And what that guy did was, well, vouch for me. And that other hiring manager was like, so you know Richard at this branch and you know Pam from HR. Well, it looks like you know everybody. And I said, I sure do. And he looked at my resume and he said, wow, you went to college. And I was like, I definitely would go to college. And I never said I didn't graduate, right? So what happened was he said, if you can drive 1 hour to this location, get the interview, and I like you, you're going to get the job. So what I did was I drove an hour away. It was at least 30 miles away. At the time, it was Southern California. But anyways, I drove an hour away. He liked me, and I got trained up, and I got hired. Yeah, I got a job in finance against other people who work in finance, who have degrees, multiple licenses. I had licenses myself for different financial licenses and certifications, and you don't need to go to college for that. And that's how I got my job and my foot in the door in finance, was because I had the gumption to think outside the box, to apply myself over and over again, and not do something over and over again that obviously doesn't work. And when I asked that guy who worked at the sunglass store if he did my strategy just to call companies up on the time, he said no, he didn't. I checked him 3 weeks later, he didn't. And when we were having a conversation, he just talked about local bars with attractive girls. And I said, yeah, well, that's your problem right there, is that you're focused on stupid, nonsensical stuff, and this is what happens. Minimum wage in Houston, which is terrible, by the way. Minimum wage in Houston, state minimum wage in Texas is $7.50. The mall, you're probably making $11 an hour. That's nothing. That's garbage. You can't even afford gas money with that type of income. But and that guy had a degree in finance, multiple licenses. Idiotic type of behavior right there. Let's get back to it.
Oh, it sucks.
And that's my strategy to help any of you guys think about trying to apply for a job. Think outside the box like that. Call them up. Actually, call them up on the phone. Get their customer service number. Talk to HR. There you go.
You're probably thinking, I'm putting in all this work. I'm getting good grades. I'm paying for college. I should be able to get a job, right? Wrong. You have to move different nowadays. Getting a referral isn't an option anymore.
I work in retail making basically minimum wage, and I have 2 bachelor's degrees, and everybody's like, why in the world do you work retail? Everybody's trying to give me all of this life advice, telling me to go into healthcare, telling me to go into tech, yada, yada, yada. And everybody's like, why in the world do you have 2 degrees and you're not using them? What are your degrees? Like, what's the story there? This is the story of my 2 bachelor degrees that I have that I am currently not really using. I graduated high school in 2014, and when I was in high school, the high school I went to, like, more than 80% of our graduating class went to a four-year university
90%.
So it was very much pushed to go to college after you graduated.
It very
Nobody in
much
my family had ever
was.
gone to college before. I was the first one to even graduate high school. So it was like a big deal for me to go to college, and I was super excited. I switched my major so many times, which is a big play in this.
Yeah, a lot of people, when they go to college, they do general education for the first 2 years. They don't know what they want to do. They switch majors, whichever one fits their idea of what type of lifestyle they want, and they're
Junior year rolls around,
not
I've
doing
taken
too
all my
good.
gen ed classes, and it's really time for me to figure out what my major is like actually going to be. And at that point, I had taken a lot of anthropology, history, and sociology classes
Okay.
because those were the classes that I just really enjoyed and had some professors that I really enjoyed. So I had already had a lot of credits towards those three. So I decided to go with sociology as my major,
There we go.
and I minored in history and anthropology. And I mainly decided that just because I wanted to graduate on time. Like at this point, if I chose a major that wasn't sociology, I was not going to graduate on time and I was going to have to continue going to school for at least another year and take out even more loans. And I just wanted to be like done with school at this point. I loved the classes that I took and everything that I learned, but I knew the career path wasn't necessarily for me. But at this point, I just wanted to graduate. I graduated with a degree in sociology and I minored in anthropology and history. I didn't have the opportunity to do an internship or any sort of research while I was getting my degree. I had to work a paying job while I was in school, and there were no like paid opportunities for me. So I wasn't able to get any sort of experience in the field anyways. At that point, I had gotten a better retail job. I was making like double minimum wage in North Carolina. I was doing well, like my own.
Yeah, it's the South. So I know a lot of people that are in the South, Texas, where my family's at in Houston. A lot of people, they go to college, they don't know what they want to do, they don't have any guarantee of anything, and they're probably the first one in their entire family to go to college. Knew some people like that, and they still, when they go to college for their major, they're still up in the air about what they want to do in 5 years, what they want to do in 10 years. And a lot of their friends, when I would ask them, even though weed is illegal in Texas, I would ask them, they would just say, oh, my friends are getting high or they're getting drunk and they're just being complete losers, to be honest. People who have no mission in life. And or it's either that or the people that went into, at least in high school, like she was saying, are told to go to college 90% at my high school. There are some people that do join the military for various reasons. Most of the time, I can speak on this because at one point I was interested in joining the United States Navy to be a HM corpsman, which is a Marine medic. But at the time, I was very young and naive about what I was doing when I was younger. Anyways, getting back into it, people, they do that type of thing. They go to college, take their GEs, and they realize that college isn't what it's cracked up to be, but they are already pushed through so many years of GE classes that they just can't simply get off the sinking ship. Sunk cost fallacy. What I did was when I was in college, I got my licenses for financial fields, and I decided I wasn't going to take out more debt to just graduate. I just got a job like that in finance, like I said earlier in the video, by sheer ingenuity and not taking no for an answer. I just kept persevering and thought outside the box. And when you allow your peer pressure from your support group, your friends, your family, your society, and you allow yourself to be inundated by that, you are just breaking down your self-esteem. If you become this type of image of what people want you to be this college graduate, to be this quote unquote person, like I would speak on the people that joined the military, they did it because they wanted to be quote unquote heroes. They want to be people who do cool stuff. A lot of the time when I was in the Navy recruiting office, they essentially, most of the people there, when the recruiter got down to brass tacks, he asked you, how many of you guys, what are you guys doing? Why are you guys joining the Navy? Be honest. Why are you joining the military? And he's going to say, how many of you guys are doing it for the benefits of traveling, free college, and pay money, essentially? And 98% of the office rose their hand. I was one of the few people that did not raise my hand. Me and another person that wanted to be a medic. And we were like the very few people. And there was also a girl that was going to jump out of helicopters. Air Rescue was the name, to save people in the ocean. Like, we were the three people that didn't raise their hand. We weren't joining the military to for money or travel benefits. We didn't care about that type of stuff. But anyways, I decided not to join the Navy because it was, in my belief system, it's not a good decision to. If you looked at the last 20 years, the wars that America's gotten into didn't benefit America and the American people in the way that you think it did, and it was based on a lot of lies, to be honest. Let's get back into it.
apartment. I was living with my boyfriend. I had a decently paying job for North Carolina standards in retail. So I was doing like okay. So I was like, let me just take a break. Like, I've been in school for a million years. Let me just take a break and chill for a sec and figure out what I want to do. 2020 hits, and of course, COVID happens. Everybody and the mother decided to go back to school. Most people went back and did their masters, but I didn't really want to get my master's in anything like sociology related. So as I was looking
Shouldn't.
into it, I found the program through SNHU, and you can get your degree online. It's fully online. And they had a graphic design with a web development option, which I thought that would be really great. Web development, like everybody says to go into tech, so I thought that'd be a really great idea. I was able to transfer a lot of my gen ed credits from my first degree, so I was going to be able to complete my degree in about a year and a half. What I did, it took me about 2 years instead of a year and a half. So at the very end of 2022 is when I graduated with my bachelor's in graphic design and web development from SNHU. I did it
There we
fully
go.
online. Before I even graduated, I started doing some freelance work. So I
Good for
think
her.
in January of 2023 is when I got my first like bigger freelance client. And so I was doing well with that. I was just going to do freelance. I was applying to like more corporate graphic design jobs, but I really wanted to go the freelance route. So that's what I did. And that's what I've been doing. For all of you that are curious, that is the story of my 2 degrees.
College isn't worth it anymore. In
Yeah.
2025,
Good for her.
anything that involves that much money is not about the product or service. It's about using that product or service as a vehicle to maximize profit. The interest
Yeah,
rate
there
on
we
student
go.
loans are
It's a
predatory.
racket.
You will be in
War
debt
is a
for the rest
racket.
of your
College
life
is a
if you take
racket.
out student
Everything
loans. But what
is
about the high-paying job you get when you
fake, and
graduate?
everything
When I
is
graduated
to
with a
take
chemistry degree, I couldn't
your
find
energy,
anything.
time,
I didn't even
resources,
get
and
hired
money
at the
for
animal
their own
shelter I
benefit.
applied to. I
There we
eventually
go.
got hired at a candle factory making $12 an hour, and my next job was at a spice factory making $15 an hour. That was in
Good for her.
2013, so it was more than what it is right now, but I was not living a comfortable life on that amount of money. So how do you actually get a good job that pays well? In 2025, companies don't care about whether you have a degree or not. They just
don't.
want someone who can come in and do the job on day one. I know it's not fair, but that's how it is.
With her, people are finding out that college isn't a guarantee of anything, and companies want a person that can come in, learn a job, do the job, and figure out what they need to do. And that's all that matters. And the only thing that does matter is you having a track record of doing the work. You'll get a track record of doing the work by working jobs in the real world and not taking classes for dance or anthropology or communications or anthropology or sociology or psychology. It's not the same level of experience. Like if I was an employer and I was looking at her anthropology degree, let's say a previous person, anthropology degree, I can't call up the college professor and say, how good is she doing? Because there's so many students the college professor has. He's going to say, or she's going to say, I don't even know who that is. You see where I'm getting at is that an employer, when they look at the degree that everyone else has, they can't just call up the previous, your person that was in charge of the work that you were doing. They can't call up the college professor and say, is this lady or guy legit where they can do the work? Can they actually do the work? I mean, they got the degree, but everybody has a degree. So what does that even mean then? You see where I'm getting at? Versus if I can see a person work at, let's say they're working at freaking HEB, which is a supermarket chain in Texas. They're working at Walmart. They work their way all the way up from being a grunt. They worked their way up from the very bottom on the sales floor, on the merchandise floor. They worked at Macy's, wherever. They worked their way up to like assistant manager, whatnot, in charge of everything, responsibilities. You can call up the company yourself and their boss and say, well, what's their track record like? And they can tangibly show you what they've been doing for the past 5, 6, 8 years. 4 years in college, well, everyone has that same degree and in the common degrees that I talked about. So what does it mean? It means almost nothing now, unfortunately. And it's so sad to see. And I don't want that for you guys. So I'm going to do something which is going to tell you how to get a job. You call up the company, not a minimum wage job. You call up the company, you have a good resume, you make a great first impression. And this isn't a guarantee, but it's free. It's free, and it takes you freaking 30 minutes to do so. You see all the jobs that post their job listings on Indeed or these job boards online. You call these companies up directly, whatever phone number you can get anybody that's an employee of that company, and connect you with HR, and then make a good first impression and send your resume in that way. But you need the job experience. You need to have the job track record beforehand before you do that. And that's how you get ahead. And that's how I got a job in finance, how I worked in finance. I got hired by good people. And that's when I worked to the next financial company, they look at the previous company that was for finance. They were able to verify that. And they're saying, well, there's no reason for us not to hire you. And then that's how I got my third job in finance. And that's what happened. Third time was a charm. And let's figure out what you want to do with your life. Okay, so let's figure out what you want to do. Here's some great advice for people that are looking for college, but they don't know what they want to do. Look at the last 12 months. There is a theme of what you've been doing for the last 12 months outside of work, outside of school. That theme you take notes on, you watch a lot of these type of videos, you do a lot of research on. It takes almost no effort. That theme gives you an indication of what type of field you like working in. If you can find a job related to that field on a job board on Indeed.com, look for the job, look at a job, look at the certifications or licenses or degrees it requires. Sometimes it doesn't even require a degree, just a license. Like I was in finance, just a license. Get that license, certification, bam. Now you have the ability to apply for that job there, right then and there. And it didn't even require a degree. That theme saves you a lot of time of just thinking about and looking at your track record in the last 12 months about what you enjoy doing. Maybe you don't want to be a nurse. Maybe you don't want to be an engineer. Maybe you don't want to be a person going to college for communications or psychology or marketing. What exactly do you want to do that you spend your free time so much so, but a way you can make money off of? Some way you can provide value. There you go. Just save you, within my 2 minutes of advice, I've done more than all your freaking college professors, your family, the rest of society, and I didn't have to peer pressure you, and I wasn't shoving you in a little cage where you box yourself in, losing self-esteem and confidence. Building yourself up. That's what my channel is about, helping people. And I'll do more for you than anybody else in your life because I believe in you, and I want you to have your dream of you being on that green pasture of green fields, by that house overlooking that green pasture, maybe that nice ocean, and you're coming home from work and you are like saying, this is a great day to be me. That's what I want for you every single day for the rest of your life. And I'm going to do it in a way where no one else will because they are afraid to, because they don't want to go against the trend and be somebody that is having a different opinion, because apparently that is something that people don't have the gumption to do nowadays, whether it be in Texas or California. Anyways, hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I hope you guys learned something from my video today, because it's important that we don't allow ourselves to be peer pressured into doing anything we don't want to do, and being with people who don't have the self-respect for themselves to not be peer pressured into wasting their life for 4 years and getting 5 figures of debt to essentially have your confidence broken down. You're paying to have your confidence broken down. That's terrible. Have a good rest of your day, guys. Take care. Bye now.